State House, the country's highest seat of power, is increasingly coming under scrutiny for being turned into a political arena rather than remaining a symbol of national leadership. In recent months, President William Ruto has hosted a series of meetings with various groups at State House, raising questions from political analysts over whether the president is shifting his political campaigns from the grassroots to the seat of government. Others are questioning the cost of these engagements and who is paying for them. This week on Face the Facts, our reporter Haman Kamariki examines the growing controversy surrounding these State House meetings.
Welcome to Face the Facts. The other day, while riding on a motorcycle boda, the rider asked me a simple but a thought-provoking question. He asked, why does the president invite people to State House only to make promises that are never fulfilled? Isn't State House supposed to be a place of dignity and respect? I told him those were serious allegations and asked him to explain why he believed that. And he said that he was among the boda riders who had previously been invited to State House under what was presented as a boda empowerment program. And according to him, they were promised motorcycles, even posed for photographs with them. But more than a year later, he has not received his motorcycle. I had no immediate answer. Instead, I decided to examine what has increasingly become a pattern at State House here in Kenya. Over the past few weeks, President William Ruto has held a series of meetings at State House with different groups almost every day. On Monday this week, the president hosted members of the Friends Church, commonly known as Quakers or FCK. Information available to us indicates that 7 million Kenya shillings was transferred from the office of the Cabinet Secretary, Musalia Mudavadi, to the church to facilitate transport for those attending the meeting. More than 5,500 worshippers attended the event. Participants we spoke to claimed that after what they described as political meeting, each attendee received 10,000 Kenya shillings, amounting to more than 50 million in cash disbursements. The church was also reportedly handed another 50 million Kenya shillings for the construction of a peace center. Without even factoring in logistics and other organizational expenses, this single event is estimated to have costed well over 110 million Kenya shillings. This is not an isolated case. Those attending several recent State House meetings have consistently claimed they received between 5,000 to 10,000 Kenya shillings each. On Tuesday this week, the president hosted more than 10,000 village elders. On Wednesday, he held prayers with Muslim religious leaders. These are just some of the many meetings that have recently taken place at State House. Let's get back a little bit. In September last year, the president also hosted more than 10,000 teachers and education leaders at State House. Similar claims emerged afterwards that attendees had received each 10,000 Kenya shillings, close to about 100 million. Yet, despite the recurring allegations, no one has publicly explained where this money comes from, whether it is budgeted or under which government expenditure vote these funds are allocated. Let me be very honest. There's nothing wrong with the president meeting different groups at State House. He has met several others, African Divine Church members, and even other groups, and even people from different regions. Listening to citizens is part of leadership, and that should be given to him. It is okay for them to go to State House. The concern, however, is whether these meetings have evolved into political mobilization events financed by public money, with the critics arguing they amount to early campaigns.
Kumi bila break. Kumi bila break. Broad-based government is the way to go.
And some say it could be bribery.
I, William Samoei Ruto.
When he assumed office, our president, William Samoei Ruto, pledged to reduce unnecessary government spending and ensure prudent use of taxpayers' money.
We cannot have a budget that we cannot fund. And that is why we have to cut down on expenditure.
Critics now argue that this commitment appears increasingly difficult to reconcile with the scale and frequency of these State House gatherings. Beyond the spending, another question continues to emerge. Let's ask ourselves, has State House become a place where promises are routinely made without being fulfilled? The border rider I spoke to insists he and his colleagues are still waiting for the motorcycles they were promised. Let's listen to this one here.
Watu walikuwa wanapewa vitu pale State House last year. Na hii wakati tulikuwa na group yetu ambayo ilikuwa registered kutoka Jakaranda, na hii group ilikuwa inafaa tupewe pikipiki. Hiyo pikipiki nilikosa.
State House is meant to be more than just another political venue. It is the official residence and office of the president, the highest symbol of executive authority in the republic, and many believe commitments made there should carry the highest level of credibility. It was at State House that chiefs were promised tablets. This was to improve their service delivery. Maybe you need to ask your chief at home and your assistant chief if they received these tablets, because I won't tell you what mine answered. Months later, many chiefs say they are still waiting. Village elders have also reportedly been promised smartphones. Smartphones. But questions remain over whether those promises will be fulfilled, and if they are, under which budget those purchases will be financed. Teachers continue to raise concerns about the medical insurance package they say was discussed during previous meetings at State House, arguing that many of the expected benefits have yet to materialize. Political analyst Luchetu Likaka believes the increasing frequency of these meetings may itself signal political challenges facing the president at the grassroots. Listen to him.
State House belongs to all Kenyans, whether opposition or government. But then the sitting government should not misuse it as a platform for campaign, the way Ruto is actually perpetually now doing by holding a number of meetings there for different groups. These are concerned. Why? Because as we speak, President is having a challenge going to any village because of the resistance among Kenyans. And that is a signal that actually this government is likely to go home. If the way it's behaving and the way Kenyans are responding is a signal for Ruto to change his tact, or else it will not be easy for him to remain in power.
Ultimately, the questions remain. Why is State House increasingly becoming the venue for political style engagements? Where is the money being used for these meetings coming from? Are these legitimate government programs or political activities funded by taxpayers' money? And is the steadily increasing State House budget connected to these growing engagements? I won't ask more. That is first the facts. My name is Herman Kamariki. Greetings to the people of Gaigedi, Mudete Village, Wodanga Ward, Sabatia Constituency, Vihiga County. I leave you the familiar saying, the easiest promise to make is the one never intended to be kept.